You are tuning into the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show with your host, Michael Carvelis.
Well, do you like the new logo? Welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. This is, Dilly Dive. We welcome you so much. We cannot wait to get this started. And for those of you on 12 on Sports, thanks for tuning in. Even though the title says what just happened, this is Dilly Dive. So that's a little bit of a miscalculation there. Not sure how that happened, but this is definitely Dilly Dive. So you're not missing anything. On today's show, we'll have Adam Levy to break down two of the games for this weekend. There are 5 on the slate as the NLL season begins. We will also have Pat Gregoire later on to break down the betting aspect of those games to help you have the insight that you want and need to make your bets. This will be a Friday tradition with Adam Levy, and of course, we'll have multiple betting experts on throughout the season. Thanks so much for tuning in, and please remember, 12ouncesports.com/lacrosse is where you want to get geared up this NLL season. Fanatics finally updated their website, even though they're still not the best merchandise yet. The Rush logo is brand new. So they put it on there. Horny is now official. I know it's rowdy, but you get it. Horny is now on the website. That's very exciting to see. So 12ouncesports.com/lacrosse takes you directly to that link, and you can shop till you drop in your heart's content. Thanks so much for that. All right. Reminder, we are once again on 12 Ounce Sports exclusively live. 120Z Sports. If you want segments, if you want reels, if you want graphics, updates, etc., got to still follow Dilly Dive Lax. But live shows are only on 12 Ounce Sports. Once again, that's the new change. And the merchandise, I put everything public. It should be dropping very soon. So the link tree in our bio with the merch store still stands, but we're still waiting for that stuff to update. I've refreshed it a million times before the show still isn't updated. The merchandise is coming very soon, and we will update you as soon as we know that information. All righty, it is 1:03 p.m. here on the East Coast in Georgia, home of the Swarm. This is Daily Dive, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. When I come back, Adam Levy Fridays begin. Cannot wait for that. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't. We're right back.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12 Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We promised you it would be different, and welcome back. I know you were here last week, but Adam Levy, welcome back to Daily Dive. How are you liking the new look and the new sound?
I love the new look, and that woman's voice is very nice. It's I saw this clip recently on YouTube about Jurgen Klopp listening to a translator, and he comments on the seductive voice of this male translator. And I think it adds a nice touch to the programming. So it's very nice.
She was very expensive. I would also add that. This is the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. He is Adam Levy. He is very well known in the lacrosse multiverse. I can say multiverse now because Marvel partnered with the NLL. I think that's pretty cool. That's a big deal. Touch on that if you want to, but we're going to try to get right into it. Let me just ask you, how do you feel about the Marvel comic book thing? Because I like that a lot.
I think it's a really cool initiative, and I think Kurt Hunzinger has been doing an amazing job with these partnerships, and really he's been so active and traveling and really spreading the NLL and spreading all these initiatives. The Unboxed initiative was his baby, and so this was all the things that he's been doing so far are incredible, and it's awesome to see. I know this might be controversial. I'm not a big Marvel guy myself. I don't watch comic book stuff. I don't read comic books. And to be honest, I don't even watch movies anymore. But it's an amazing partnership. There's an amazing fan base there. And I think it's really cool that especially they're tying it with the indigenous roots of the game. I think that's one of the coolest aspects of this.
It really is impressive. Whether you like the comic books or the hero movies in general, I do like that they are doing like the themed lacrosse books with that as the plans and the basis behind them, was just, you couldn't have asked for a better first marketing scheme, I would say. But I'm very excited.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Preston's picks are out now. Those are some very interesting picks, I might add. But I just want to say shout out to Preston, and I love the new logo as well. So shout out to your son Preston for those picks this weekend, man.
Thank you. And so the logo was done by an amazing Greek designer named Nick Poulos. He actually, just by pure coincidence, when I had tweeted out about finding a graphic designer to make that logo, he was one of the first people that responded back, and it turned out to be an amazing partnership. And I have a lot of other logos and things that I'm going to be trying to do in the near future, and so hopefully that's a budding long-term relationship there.
That's awesome. We have an Australian female as our voiceover, and you have a Greek graphic designer. That's awesome. I love it.
The game's going global.
Woo! All right. I know one of the first things we're going to get to today, San Diego Seals expectations. I know during the show the other day, you kind of commented saying, hey, this is kind of interesting spots here for the Seals. And I know recently, were you the one who wrote the Seals article that came up the other day?
I wasn't. That was John Rappaport, okay. Which is a very new, cool thing that the NLL is going to be doing, kind of business-focused articles every week. There's a lot of really cool initiatives like we were talking about that Kurt's doing, but every team is doing really cool initiatives. So to be highlighting those and to have John doing a lot of that is a really cool feature.
Cool stuff. So what is your thoughts on the Seals? I think one of my bold predictions is that they're going to have a first-round choke job again, but that's just poking fun. What do you think about the Seals this year?
So I think that I think the reason that I initially had some pushback with your pick was just the fact that, or your comments, should I say, right, was mostly, I guess I find myself often being a defender of these younger goaltenders. I really like to see guys progress. And especially when you look at a guy like Chris Origlieri, he's 20 years old. He is, if you doubled his age, he wouldn't even be as old as Matt Vince. Think about that for just a second. And I'm not saying numbers are the absolute truth, but if you do look at regular season numbers, guess who had a lower goals against average than Matt Vince last season? That would be Chris Origlieri. I'm just saying. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not suggesting anything about it. I'm just saying numbers can be interesting sometimes. But at 20 years old, unbelievable. He had an amazing summer in Orangeville, an Orangeville product. That city creates so many incredible goaltenders like Dylan Ward, Nick Rose, and others. And he got to work with Rylan Hartley and Nick Rose with Orangeville this summer, which was also very cool. So it's amazing. And also, I don't know if you know this, I had written this up in my feature on Origlieri over the summer, but he and Hartley are actually stepbrothers.
Wow.
So very cool kind of connection there.
That is an awesome connection, actually. So I will admit, full disclosure, I would have never guessed he was only 20. I've seen a lot of ages on the NLStats.com website. I have never clicked on his age, and that's insane. So I will preface myself by saying maybe I could lower, decrease the controversy a little bit there, because I do feel like that would make sense why they were kind of breaking him in last year instead of just giving him the reins. That would make sense.
Well, also Frank Scigliano, he wasn't at his best in the beginning of the year, but I think there was a very strategic move by Pat Merrill and the coaching staff there to bring Origlieri in, give a young guy some starts, show Frank, hey, you're not going to always have that starting position. You really got to fight for it. And guess what? As soon as Frank came back after those few games that Origlieri was in, he was one of the best goaltenders in the National Lacrosse League in the second half of the season. Now, we can postseason is a totally different conversation, and I know that there's some people who have some flack with Frank about what he can do in the postseason, but during the regular season, whether it's in San Diego or with Calgary, he was very consistent. So I also want to just defend him there, and with him with the Rush, I think that he's definitely going to be a very good piece for them.
Say first game of the night, he's going to step it up early, right? Love it. I do want to ask you another thing about the Seals before we move on to your team insights here. I kind of mentioned that the Seals have a new, I believe, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Can you tell us how important that is? Because I know we hear in the NFL say, "Oh my gosh, what? Like that's quite the change." What does it mean in the NLL to you as a person who's known the game obviously more than a person like myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anytime that you have coaching changes, and we've seen so many wholesale changes and pretty drastic changes throughout the off season, and that can obviously take a few weeks to make adjustments and do all those kinds of things. However, I would say that when you look at a lot of the pieces that the Seals have, and you were also mentioning them before about how much do guys like Curtis Dixon and Dane Dobbie have to give. So if you've got a new offensive coordinator like Jordan Hall, who is a guy who's played tons of minutes against guys like Dixon and Dobbie. Let's first of all say, I don't really know how much instructing Curtis Dixon and Dane Dobbie need. I think that they're very capable to figure things out on their own. And I think that with Pat Merrill still there running the ship, I think that ultimately some things change, schemes change, different strategies here and there. But I think that good coaches also really know how to utilize and get the best out of their best players. And I think that Curtis Dixon and Dane Dobbie and a lot of the other veterans on that lineup, on the defense and on offense, they already have shown what they're capable of. I don't think you mentioned in your preview that they got a guy like Kyle Jackson, who signed a long-term deal. And I know that he's got his coaching gig and with Avon Oldfield, Old Farm in Connecticut. But he's committed to the Seals. He loves what they're doing, so that's very cool. And then I think that when you talk about the face-offs matter, I mean, you got Trevor Baptiste there. This is a real chance where we talk about, do possessions matter? Well, when you got guys like Curtis Dixon and Dane Dobbie, you get 10 more possessions and you score on 4 more of them, 4 more goals because you got more face-off wins is pretty important.
Thank you for that. Thank you. He's a face-offs matter guy. I don't know if you are, but I'm just.
I very much am. Although every single piece of data suggests that it is irrelevant.
I know it. So let's get into this. I know you have some team insights, and I want to start off with a team that I feel like is being disrespected with the maybe it's just the odds. I don't know how people inside the NLL feel about this team. I'm a big Rochester Nighthawks guy this year. I've been consistent Rylan Hartley, and that's not a joke, by the way. I think like a consistent Rylan Hartley and like an awesome player in Connor Fields and Thomas McConvey, who is the last year's #1 overall pick coming in. That's a pretty big deal to me. And I feel like the Rochester Nighthawks might make the playoffs. Joe's number 3. I don't know if I'll go that far, but give me some team insights on the Nighthawks.
So it's very interesting. I was actually sitting in on the media presser yesterday for the Nighthawks, and it's been a very interesting ride for their organization since they started about 3-4 years ago. With COVID, with so many shakeups to the roster, a lot of old guys not being there, injuries happening, players like McConvey not joining right after the draft because an extra year of college eligibility. So it's been a very interesting time for that organization, and they took a huge jump. One of the questions I asked was, when you had last year guys like Holden Cattoni and Thomas Hogarth, they combined for 70 of the team's 218 goals. We're talking about 32% of the team's goal production there. So I asked them, well, what do they think about how that's going to get picked up by the other guys now that those two aren't there? And of course, they expect and hope that Fields can somewhat replicate what he did last season. But at the same time, they do have guys there like, Dan Lomas can produce. You've got McConvey coming in, who's obviously an absolutely lethal scorer. Ryan Smith is someone who was a high draft pick before that they have high hopes on, and also someone who's already produced. And then they picked up Kyle Waters in a trade. I believe he was with Calgary before, and they have a lot of upside with him. And if you look at guys like Austin Hazen, Smith, and Waters, when we talk about building for the future, and this team is really, they're not concerned with rushing the process. And so you've got guys who are 23, 24, 25 there. And then Fields, of course, 27, and then McConvey at 23. So, and then, of course, you got Hartley and Net, who's around 25. And I think that goaltending matters. That's going to be really important. How does he back up what he did last year? Can he mature? Can he bring up his numbers? Can he do all of those things? He's a very fiery, passionate guy, and that can be very helpful for a team to motivate you. But you want to be able to reel that in. And has he been able to do that a little bit, I guess? Not saying that is a problem that I necessarily saw, but I know that some may have thought that he did have a little bit too much excitement when he was in between the pipes and needed to maybe calm down just a little bit. So I think that they will be very good. I think that there are just a lot of other teams that didn't make it last year that are going to be really tough. I think that even if you add San Diego in there about how they were disappointing over the last couple playoffs, they have something to prove. You got Curtis Dixon on a 2-year deal, Doby on a 1-year deal. Gamble is 35. You got guys who knows, Kyle Rubish on a 1-year deal. Is this their last run? Is this the last 1-2 years with these guys? And so that makes them hungry, especially since they've had disappointing playoff results. The Saskatchewan Rush, GM Keenan has been like, we missed the playoffs the last 2 years. That's not going to happen again. We won't accept that as an option. You look at the Philadelphia Wings, same mentality, 9-9 back-to-back years. Look at the roster they've had. They're going to be hungry, and there's so much high expectation there. The Georgia Swarm, who were incredibly hot in the second half of the season and showed what they can do, a very young team. They want to prove that they can keep continuing. So that middle pack there, I would say between the 6th best team and the 11th or 12th best team is going to be an absolute dogfight all season long. And I think the Rochester Nighthawks are going to be in there. It's just depending on injuries and other things. And we haven't even mentioned Colorado Mammoth, who are struggling with injuries, and we have to see what happens there. It is so many storylines, so many possibilities of things that can happen. So it's amazing that week 1 tonight, we get to see things kind of unfold.
Yeah, I read that Cody Jameson's back tonight, so that's interesting stuff there. Does not help my bet out at all. Another thing that you mentioned in talking to you privately was you had some insights on the Vancouver Warriors. Now, they obviously, Kermalowski, very well respected. Even like I told people this before, when Callum Crawford came on the show, he made that a point after their loss to that team, was like, they are very well coached. This team was not great at the last half of the season. Obviously, they were trying to rebuild, and then, of course, now the overhaul. How good can Vancouver be year 1, and what is your take on them and your insights on them?
I think that they can be better than a lot of people expect them to be, and I know that the coaches and the GMs, according to that vote, and I know that maybe that doesn't hold a lot of weight with as many people anymore, considering some of the choices that happened there. But, the coaches and GMs selected the Warriors to be the turnaround team of the year, and a lot of that has to do with Molosky's leadership. But then defense wins championships, and yes, Aaron Bold is older, but he's now got a full season to be with the Warriors and really show that he's really ready to be there. I've spoken to him in person a few times when he was in Vancouver last season. He's very happy to be there. I think he's going to be reliable. Maybe not a top 3, maybe not even a top 5 goaltender, but you don't always have to be to get your team into the playoffs, especially if you can deliver on offense and defense. And defense, the amount of changes they made, unbelievable between John Lintz, bringing back Matt Beers, Ryan Dilks. I think between the three of them, they've got like 8 championships combined. They've got so many years of experience, over 30 years of professional experience between the three of them. Big, strong guys. You look up and down the lineup, you got guys 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 200 to 215 pounds. That's really menacing. And I forgot to mention Brett Mitski, who's still there. So that's a big, strong, aggressive defense. And when you've got a strong-minded, really passionate coach like Molosky, who's so good at making in-game adjustments, that's a formidable defense to go up against no matter what team you are.
I mean, if Aaron Bull can hold it down at all, like top 10, I feel like the team would be pretty good defensively. So regardless of where he finishes, Vancouver should be better. Didn't they start good last year and then like kind of fell off afterwards?
I think I'll have to check on that. But I think that what they did is they were kind of spotty in the beginning, but they had a strong finish, which was important. So yeah, I'm looking at Desert Dogs, and then they also beat the Colorado Mammoth as well. So that was an important stretch, and then things didn't really pan out in that very end of the season for them. But it was a team with so many adjustments. We forget Troy Cordingley was a new coach and GM, and he was kind of in this flux position where he was taking over for Dan Richardson, who had made so many decisions, and Troy didn't have the opportunities to really build the team that he wanted to. So it was so many things, so many moving pieces there. I don't think that last year's performance can really be taken as a real sign of what that team was capable of.
Love it. All right, so we've got 2 games to get to, and I'm very excited for these 2. There's 5 on, like I said, this weekend. We can only get 2 of them. The last one tonight is 2 teams that, these guys are going to, like, if a red word, suck. And it's Albany, it's Las Vegas. One thing about Las Vegas, though, I don't know if it's the players going to Vegas. They've got a good home record. I think 4 of their 5 wins last year, or all 4 of them came on at home. We're just like, wow, okay, that's pretty good. Las Vegas was pesky to start the season, kind of fell off. But both these teams have young talent that might be showcased. Give us your thoughts on this game. I think Dogs win it because it's in Vegas, but I could be swayed.
Well, I think that, it's when we talk about a lot of changes and some unfortunate changes, the Albany Firewolves have seen a couple of retirements, some injuries that they wouldn't have liked. Will Johansson out for the season, supposedly with a ACL injury, and he was a top 10 pick in the 2022 NLL entry draft. And so that's unfortunate. Brett Manny, obviously not there. Kieran McCardle, who you've talked about, not there. So some big changes. They're very, very young and they're very athletic, and but they know that they're in a rebuild stage. But what I would say about these teams, particularly when you look at those young guys, so you've got Ty Kurtz and Alex Simmons, 2 guys who were first-round draft picks in the 2022 NLL entry draft, who are making their debuts. And so who knows what they can produce. And it's important to see what pieces you do have for the future and how hungry they are in the beginning when they're making that start. Knowing that they might have a little bit more responsibility because they are in a transition period and looking to find their identity, that could be a really good thing for young guys. You're kind of thrust into this position to say, hey, like, this is your time right now. You're not like you're going to warm up to it. You're thrown into the fire immediately. So that could be really good. They also have a goaltender and a guy named Doug Jamieson, who's quite impressive, especially when he's at his best. And I think when we again talk about defense and goaltending, that is very huge. But it's a good young team with a lot of promise in them. And then, I would also say that these games, if anyone's like, man, I don't want to watch these games, the young talent's important. Dylan Watson, and then you look back at Jack Hanna last year from the Desert Dogs. He was incredible. How does he improve? But Dylan Watson making his debut, the 2nd overall pick in the 2022 NLL entry draft for the Desert Dogs. He can bring a new spark to the offense as well. And then I think that you want to see basically, what does the future look like, and how can we kind of provide a spark plug for our fans, but also it puts fear in other teams if those guys are doing well. And sometimes in the beginning of the season, that can bite you. If you look back last season at the Bandits and Firewolves season opener, well, who won that game? The Firewolves won that game by 1 goal. And now that you've got these unified standings, those won games against teams that you might think are not going to be great, you lose a game here and a game there to those clubs, well, that might really cost you come playoff time when you're in a seed that you didn't want to be. So those games matter even more. And those underdogs are going to buy into that underdog role to make it even tougher for those tough teams.
That's good stuff. I did notice your top 5 tweet. I reposted on Daily Dive, and that's like, it's like when quarterbacks are drafted in the top 5. We hype this up, and you're right, people aren't talking about it.
Yep,
that was a big deal. And I like the aspect of. I think it's like 8 to 5 dogs, and I give 8 only because like of Doug Jameson. I feel like this game's gonna be so low scoring, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing game for sure, and I would say don't sleep on it. And often games against those teams, those are the most exciting games. You look at the NBA teams like that; those are the games that end 135, 137. Sometimes go to overtime because you just also don't know what you're going to get.
That's right. I love it though. This one's good. Mitch Jones and the Wings are super hungry. They're my pick to win it all. Low-hanging fruit there. The New York Riptide have a guy named Jeff Teats, who I did compare to Spider-Man. I will leave that alone for now. Good game. Very marquee matchup here, even if one of the teams I think is way better. I think Wings win it, but what is your take on the Wings? I know you have some thoughts on the Riptide as well.
Yeah, I think that the Wings are a very talented team. They're very stacked, but they have been stacked, especially offensively, for a long time. They might have an issue in terms of defense and transition, and we'll see what happens there. That's definitely kind of, when you compare that to what they have offensively, that is a little bit of I don't want to say a red flag, but it's a little bit of a warning flag there in terms of if you want to see where they might have some holes there. But they're very hungry, very determined. I know Paul Day. Very excited to have full seasons with Mitch Jones, full seasons with Mike McCannell, full seasons with Scott Dominy. Really a lot of, again, young, fresh pieces and a lot of big moves made because they are not satisfied with how things have been going. I think that there's a lot of promise there. I think there's a lot of hype from a lot of people around Mitch Jones, Blaze Reardon getting the captaincy just yesterday, which is huge for him, a great ambassador of the game, both for field and box, and truly committed and passionate about the sport. And those are the guys that you want as your leaders, and an incredible guy. So I think that those guys are going to be really passionate. I think you got another great season out of Joe Resetarits. I think it's going to be really interesting to see them go up against a guy like Cam Dunkerley, who will be supposedly the guy in net for the Riptide going forward. And having seen him a couple times in practice, he looks really good. I really like what I'm seeing from Dunkerley, another younger goaltender in his early to mid 20s. I believe that he's around that age there. And so, he's finally, going to have a full season potentially with Will Johnston going up against him, his backup there for the Riptide, to really see what he can do with this team. Goaltending has been a problem for the Riptide their entire time as an organization. So can he snap that streak, and can his energy, his athleticism, his ability to quickly move from post to post and make athletic saves, can that really change or turn the tide, I should say, for the Riptide this season?
Shout out Tyson for that one. That was good. Hey, Dunkerley is 24. You were right about that. I looked it up real quick. I do have a question about Jeff Teat. Mm-hmm. Is he going to break the scoring record this year, or at least the goal record? I've heard some people say that.
Yeah, and again, going back to the NLL Top 50 Coaches and GMs poll, they had Jeff Teat as your MVP, preseason pick for MVP, and your preseason pick for the best offensive player. And I don't see why not. he had the ball on his stick a lot more and scored the ball a lot more. Of course, as we talked previously, he had quite a few turnovers, but that's because he did have the ball on his stick way more than his rookie year. I think that he's a machine. He's a robot. I've spoken to him. He's so focused. His schedule is so rigid. He loves the game. He eats, sleeps, and breathes lacrosse like no one else I've ever met before, other than guys like Blaze Reardon and people like that, who their whole life is committed to the game. But Jeff is just, he's a byproduct of when you get the right training from a very young age, and especially his dad was a very successful player as well.
Yep.
You just like you grow up in that, and that becomes your life, and he's embodied that to the fullest and then some. So I think that it's very possible that he breaks that, and I think there's a very good chance that he will.
I'm so excited. Are you allowed to make a preseason pick or no for the championship? I don't know if you had a thought on that.
Well, it's going to be really interesting. I don't generally put a lot of weight on preseason picks, especially when you look at injuries, and you just don't know how teams with the amount of things that have been shaken up this year. I do think that the Bandits are really, really good, but at the same time, San Diego, like we were saying earlier, it's kind of like now or never with this group of guys that they've kind of been building around. Meaning like the Curtis Dixons, the Dane Dobies. Westberg, still only 30, so I'm not saying his career is ending anytime soon, but he's in that second half of his career now. He's played a lot of lacrosse, and so if you want to win with this group, time is running out, and I think that it's really going to be important for that city and for that franchise to have a better result in the postseason if they want to keep building upon what they started a few years ago.
Regardless of what happens this season, you'll be here to talk about it every Friday. And I do want to say I am so excited. I'm glad that you're a part of the league in more ways than I am, and I cannot wait to see what this whole season has in store. It's going to be lit, as the kids say. But Adam, I do hope you feel better, and I just enjoy whatever you do this weekend, which will be a lot of lacrosse, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And thank you once again for coming on this really first edition of Season 2 of Daily Dive. Thank you so much, Adam.
Of course, and thank you for always having me. I'm excited to talk lacrosse with you and teach you about the game and hear your thoughts about the game as a newer fan. It's always exciting to hear what you think, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. So I'm going to just enjoy my tea with honey here as I get better, and hopefully watch a lot of great lacrosse this weekend.
We'll get you a Daily Dive mug so it'll look better next time.
Yes, that's true. It's a lovely mug that my wife bought, but I'm sure the Daily Dive mug is a little bit with the new logo. It's going to be great.
I love it. All right, Adam, we'll see you next time, and we'll see you guys on the other side with Pat Gregoire.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm never going to get used to that Australian woman just talking to me, telling me Daily Dive's back. Pat Gregoire, welcome back to the show for Season 2. This is your first time this year, so I'm happy. How you been?
Been good, man. It's been a long time coming for this season. I know you guys been hyping up December 1st, obviously with your new brand launch, which looks awesome. It sounds awesome. Congratulations on joining the fellows at 12 Ounce Sports as well. But yeah, I'm ready to go. We're already here in Halifax. Went to the morning shoot around, saw Sask, saw Halifax. Both those teams are ready to go. And I think we're in for a good one for the opener for the season.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that you're like part of Cool Bets. And I hope these lines that I have for you are similar to that. So I also know that you're a big Halifax guy. And wouldn't that be cool if the first game of the season is Halifax? And I'll admit, I made some little wager on the Rush, and now Cody Jamison's back. Is like, oh great, who's next? Randy Stotts. I'm getting screwed over here. But Thunderbirds, from what I can see, are favored by 210. That's insane. That to me is like a little bit disrespectful to the Rush. Maybe I'm wrong. Over-unders at 24.5, or total is at 24.5. How do you see this one playing out, and what did you see in shoot-around this morning?
So first and foremost, I tend to agree. Obviously, I do a lot of work with the Halifax Thunderbirds. I think they are a team that has a lot of high expectations. But that being said, I do think minus 210 is a lot for this team, especially when you look at Sask. Yes, what did we see this morning? You see a really young, big, fast, athletic group. Yeah, they're missing a lot of their key pieces that they had from their dynasty. Mark Matthews isn't there on the left side anymore. Kyle Rubish, Beers. You look at the back end with some of those guys, Dilks, their captain, all those guys are gone. But with that being said, it's a big opportunity for a guy like Zach Mans to step in and be a top contributor. Patrick Dodds, can he get back to where he was with Panther City previously? So it is really, really intriguing. Another little tidbit to go with this game. Although it's not like a geography rivalry. You have Saskatchewan, who's in the prairies. You've got Halifax in the Maritimes, but there is a little bit of a rivalry growing here between two smaller Canadian markets. Every time these guys play, it's absolute fireworks. You think of back in, I believe it was 2020 or 2019, Halifax and Saskatchewan down here in Scotiabank Arena. It was a back and forth effort. Went to overtime, couple of disallowed goals. Crazy game. And then you look to the 2 seasons ago, Halifax, they kind of get revenge on the Rush. They win in overtime in the season opener. So that all kind of puts together. I don't know if would be betting on Saskatchewan to win the game outright.
Right.
But you got to maybe look at the spread. I know right now, CoolBet, you can get them at plus 2.5 and minus 149. Or if you even want to take the minus or plus 1.5, that's actually at plus money. So if I was leaning somewhere in a play, I would be looking maybe Saskatchewan to keep this within a goal or two, or B, I kind of like the under here. I know you talk about the offenses, Cody Jamison's back in the fold. Clark Peterson's looking to really flourish this season and become an elite player in this league. Austin Shanks is looking for a bounce back. And then I've already mentioned the offense on Saskatchewan. But when I think of these two teams this year, I think they're really predicating on being better defensively, slowing things down, grinding teams out, but playing fast in transition on the other side. So I like the under here, especially at 24.5. My best bet for this game would certainly be, I would definitely go with the under. I think these goalies also, Frank Giuliano, a new opportunity for him in between the pipes, and Warren Hill. I think he wants to get back on track to some of the consistent goaltending that we've seen in previous years.
Was he playing for Six Nations when they won it just now in the Mann Cup? Oh, well, yeah, that helps.
Yeah, him and Doug Jamieson, not a bad 1-2 punch in between the pipes, if you ask me. But that's obviously a confidence booster as well.
Flip a coin and see who starts. I don't care. Love it. Next game is kind of like the middle game. Is Panther City and the Vancouver Warriors. Now, this game, Vancouver, obviously a lot of hype around Kurt Milosky. Keegan Ball lives, breathes, and sleeps the Vancouver Warriors, so obviously he's still there. They got a lot of good defenses. Adam Levy just told us about. I thought Panther City is a pesky young team, exception of Callum Crawford. He's great. But they're both two well-coached teams. I think Panther City wins it, but I think even the 22.5 is still maybe too high. These two teams are going to try to be ugly. What do you think about this game?
Maybe I'm drinking the Kurt Milowski Kool-Aid too much, but I think this is a team that has a lot to prove, and I'm buying all the stock in Vancouver. I think this is going to be a really, really good team. I think it might take a little while, though. I know they have a lot of great talent that they brought in on defense. Defense wins championships. I heard Adam Levy say that, and it is very true. But championships aren't won in week one. Like, it's going to take them a while. I think there might be some growing pains. I think Kurt Milowski knows that. But with that being said, I do like the value on the Warriors. And I'm not trying to say Panther City was a fraudulent team last year getting into the postseason. Oh. But when you look at the teams that they beat, they only beat a playoff-bound team once, and that was the Colorado Mammoth. They beat Vancouver, who we know last year, yes, they might be good this year. Last year, they were not a good team 3 times. They beat them 3 times. They beat Las Vegas twice. That's 5 of their wins right there. They beat Albany, another bottom-feeding team. When it came to them having to step up to the plate and playing some of those better teams, like the Calgarys, like the San Diegos, that's where they faltered. So that's what I want to see. And especially with this unified standings, you're not going to play bottom-feeding teams 2-3 times.
Right.
You can't just get in because maybe the West is a little bit weaker this year or vice versa in the East. It's the top 8 teams. And for Panther City, if they want to build off the momentum that they had last year, they need to beat top-level teams. Is Vancouver a top-level team? We don't know yet, but we know the defense is going to be elite. So I think this is a big challenge for both teams here.
Would you go Vancouver money line yet, or would you just how would you feel about this game betting-wise?
I think I'd go Vancouver money line. I think honestly, I think it's a coin flip. If you want to play a little bit safer, Vancouver plus 1.5, minus 139 at Coolbet. Not too sure what the line is at some of the other books, but I know the juice is a little bit there, but sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze. Getting that little insurance is nice. I think Vancouver is really going to want to stress responsible lacrosse, defensive lacrosse. I think they hold it. And I think you even mentioned maybe playing the under. I think that might be a safe play as well.
Fundamentals. I like it. That's good for an under. I like that a lot. Last game tonight I think is an underrated game. It's the Albany Firewolves. It's the Las Vegas Dogs. I think Dogs win it because I think at home something about Vegas. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can enlighten me on that. But these are 2 young teams. Adam talked about there's 2 top 5 picks from last season playing in this game. And I think obviously the big stars on this game are Doug Jamieson for Albany, Rob Hellier for Las Vegas, with the names that stick out, and maybe Jack Hanna. But this one's tough to monitor. I just think Dogs money line would be my safe play. But I also, come on, an under 8-5 is what I'm feeling right here.
I love the under in this one, and I don't know if you could set this total any lower. I think I would bet it 21.5, 22 on some books as well. I'd take the under here for sure. You mentioned the goaltending. I mean, Doug Jamieson, let's be real. This is an elite goaltender. When he's on, he's up there with some of the best goalies in the game. He's coming off a Mann Cup victory. Like you said, he looks like he is focused. He's dialed. And let's not, beat around the bush here. He's going to have to be, their best player if they're going to want to win games this year. Yes, they have some great young talent up front. Ethan Walker is looking to take the next step. Ty Kurtz is a promising rookie this year. Alex Simmons, another Marshall Powell. They've got a lot of young talent, but they don't have a veteran there who can be like, all right, this is my offense. When you need those big goals, they go out, they take that last shot. They don't have it. So it's a lot of proving it right now. That also could be a good thing because they're going to share the ball. I think they don't care who puts the ball in the back of the net. But with that being said, you look at the other side with Vegas. I think this defense is kind of underrated. I think they're a very athletic bunch. They're going to have guys that are be playing both sides of the ball, guys that are running in transition, guys that are getting back, taking away that transition. And that's one thing that Albany did so well last year is getting their defenders to join the rush. I think Vegas is going to try to eliminate that and not allow them to get killed in transition. And Landon Kell's a little bit of an up and down season for him, his first year as a starting goalie. I really like his game. I've been following him for a long time. He won a Founders Cup Junior B championship with Elora, and you could always tell from that moment on, this is a guy that has what it takes to be an elite goalie. I don't know if he's there yet, but this would be a big moment going up against Doug Jamieson, going toe to toe. You stole the words right out of my mouth. This smells like under.
I love it. It reeks almost.
Yeah.
I love it though. Calgary Roughnecks. These two games are tomorrow, so we get all the cross we want. Calgary Roughnecks. Hello, Del Bianco and Zach Curry and the crew without Kurt Malosky, taking on the Rochester Nighthawks, who Adam kind of enlightened me on why they may have been so low at the books, but I still think tied with the buy rule of some of the Dogs is still kind of silly to me in terms of winning it all. I like Connor Fields. I think Rylan Hartley, consistent Rylan Hartley, again, that's not a joke, I think could be a big deal for them. I think Thomas McConvey could be sneaky good if he's ready to go. And this was the one I struggled with because I like both teams, but if the Kurt Malosky effect is real, there's a lot of talent in Calgary, but I'm just not sure. What is your take on this game?
Again, another really tough one to pick. I tend to agree with you. I think when you look at the odds and the futures, I think these are maybe two of the, I don't want to say ones that I would say are priced incorrectly, or maybe just you can get value on both these teams. Are they going to win a championship? I'm not too sure. I think maybe Calgary is a little bit closer there. I think Rochester is on the cusp of things, but again, there's a lot of uncertainty with now, getting rid of divisions. But with that being said, one thing that we do know about this Rochester team last year, they were great at home. 6-3 record last year in Rochester. They're a team that I think feels disrespected. They garnered so much attention at the start of the year. They started hot. Connor Fields was great. They lose Holden Cattoni, but you gain an elite talent like Thomas McCombie. I don't really have a strong play here, so I would lean towards the value. I would lean towards getting Rochester on plus money because they play so well at home. It's a long travel for Calgary too. Like a lot of those guys are West Coast guys living in BC. It's a long haul to get all the way into Rochester. I don't know if they're I don't know how many available flights there really are even to get into Rochester. Are they flying into Buffalo? Or are they flying in Toronto? Then driving, taking a bus? I don't know what the travel plans are. I just know it's not the easiest to play. Don't have the numbers in front of me. I know Brad Challoner of TSN was talking about this earlier this week and said that historically Calgary has struggled in this building. So I will go with the value. I'll go with the value. I'll go with the home team, and betting a home dog in the NLL is never a bad thing. So give me the Jayhawks.
I like that. I don't like their uniforms. I will say that again, but I do like the value. Just take a stab at it, right?
Yeah, of course. Take the value, and I agree. I love the throwback Rochester Nighthawks, the teal, the purple, the white, some of the most iconic jerseys that we've seen in the game of lacrosse. It'd be nice to see those back.
Agreed. The Philly Wings and the New York Riptide. This one is one part of my brain is telling me, hey, Mike, Wings are the much better team. They should be, even though the Riptide are supposed to be better defensively. I understand all that. I know Jeff Teats, the second coming of Christ. I know that I compare him to Spider-Man, even though you may have heard that take. I'm not going to expand on that. But I think this game is a marquee matchup for sure. I picked the Wings to win it all. I don't think this is talking about travel. I don't think this is that big of a travel.
No.
I think this will be a good game, but I like the Wings to win the game. I would say spread. I don't mind the spread here.
I would probably, for me, I would probably just go Wings straight up on the money line. I think that I'll be honest. I think the Riptide will be better defensively. I think they don't have a choice. They have to be. And to be quite honest, it's not going to be that hard to be worse defense or better defensively, because I don't know if it can get much worse. They brought in a lot of veteran talent, which is going to help. But again, similar to what I said about some of these other teams, Vancouver, you bring in a lot of guys. It's going to take a while for them to acclimatize to the system. I think the Wings are going, I'm maybe not as high on the Wings as you are, but I think the Wings are taking a step. I think Mitch Jones, I agree with you though. He is my preseason number one ballot pick for the MVP. I think that offense is so electric. You've got him, you've got Joe Rez, you got Blaze Reardon, you've got Ben McIntosh. This team is going to score a ton of goals. Can they keep the ball out of their net? Can their defense kind of hang with the offense? Can Zach Higgins get to the play that we saw him play in the summer when he lost to Six Nations in the Mann Cup with the Salmon Bells? Can he do that? I don't know if he can do it. I think he's going to be solid enough. But with that being said, one thing we did know about the Riptide last year, they could put the ball in that. So you can kind of see where I'm going here. 2 electric offenses, 2 defenses that have a lot to prove over. And I know it's a high total at 25. Heck, this could be 35 and I'd be thinking about the over.
Right. That's a good point. I think myself and producer Joe, 2 of the totals we liked this weekend were the Albany Las Vegas under and this over. Like it just makes sense. Like parlay those puppies. Don't parlay, but you understand it.
I'm looking here. I might have to, I might have to say a parlay. I know a lot of people don't like the parlays. I know they're fun, but you're looking at maybe about a plus 231, a little fun thing to have. I would not stray away from it. I know you have your takes about Jeff Teat.
Doesn't mean he can't score.
That is very, very true. Yeah, sure, he's going to turn the ball over a couple of times, but he's also going to put the ball in the back of that ton. So I think this is a huge over game. I'm actually super pumped that, folks like you down in the States, this is going to be the marquee, the showcase, Saturday Night Showcase, I think they're calling it on ESPN.
Yeah, I saw that.
Massive.
That.
I think this is going to be a really entertaining game for some folks to watch.
I can ask you 2 more things here quickly. Number one, listen, Adam Levy really made me mad because I thought he's a nerd just like comic books and Marvel. I mean, I don't like comic books. I love the fact that the Avengers whole theme was incredible to me. How cool is it to you to see the Marvel thing happen with the comic books and the indigenous roots? That doesn't even make sense on how cool that is to me.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it on the head, Mike. I think the big thing is tying it in with the indigenous roots and the creation of the creators game of lacrosse. I think that is massive. We've seen in years past some NLL teams partner with individual Marvel series with a superhero jersey, some other things here and there. But that's all great and fine when you tie yourself to a great brand to attract, younger kids, some Marvel fans, whatever it may be. But if you can use this as an educational tool to show the true meaning of the game of lacrosse, how much it means to the indigenous communities across North America, and bring that to light while having a fun, cool, engaging brand to work with, I think it's phenomenal. Kurt Hunzinger and Brett Frood, another phenomenal initiative that they've got here. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see which players that they try to, and I loved your twist on some of those. I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's an awesome opportunity. I think there's some easy layups. I think obviously you said it, Captain America, Curtis Dixon, Superman. That's literally his nickname. That. So I think it's going to be really cool. I think the big thing though is that it's an educational tool about the game of lacrosse and how important it is to the indigenous peoples, because again, it's really, really awesome. I love how much they're thinking outside of the box, in the box lacrosse game right now.
Well, aren't you? I say, haven't you been on that podcast before or something like that?
Yeah. I certainly have.
Right. And regarding that, it just, again, the fact that you have to go to these games to get these comic books is even cooler. You smart bastards, you want my money, you're going to get it too.
Oh yeah. Little Johnny or whatever is going to be going up to mom, I need this comic book. We have to go to the game. Brilliant.
That's a good investment for 20 years. Yeah,
exactly.
One other thing, and I don't know if you can just give this information, but I had the Wings to win it. I think Swarm are good value, honestly, if you're talking about teams that just want to go all in. I'm glad the books finally call it to the Bandits being the favorites, even though I think it's very hard to run it back in lacrosse, as we've seen with the history of that. Any good value to you in any pick, or you don't have to give one, I'm just asking.
Well, we'll start with value. I think the one team we already talked about is the Calgary Roughnecks.
Yeah.
I think there's some value there. Yes, you come in with a completely new coaching staff, but Josh Sanderson is a guy that's proven at many different levels he can coach. I don't think that it's tough to win a championship in your first year after losing such an influential coach to that group. Like
Yeah.
But with that being said, Kurt Malowski has built such a strong foundation. It's not like Sanderson's coming in and having to turn a really bad team around. Like he's getting the keys to a
They
Ferrari.
didn't lose much.
Like right, they lost like basically nothing. So I think this is a much easier situation for him. So I think there's a lot of value there. You know, if you want to continue with the whole, you know, value standpoint, I know it's a little bit higher up the board. Actually depends on what book you're looking at. The Colorado Mammoth are a tricky one because I could see like it's a two-way street. I could easily see the Colorado Mammoth missing the playoffs. I could also see them, like they love to do, coast through the regular season, get in at a lower seed, and then just put that switch on and just playoff. Dylan Ward is here, and Connor Robinson is scoring big goals, and Eli McLaughlin is scoring big goals, and Zed
Connor
Williams
Kelly had a sock
big
trick in the preseason.
Yep.
That's huge.
And he's going to have to be huge. No Ryan Lee this year.
Exactly.
Unfortunate again that he's not going to be able to play. He is the heartbeat on the right side of that offense. So they're a team, but at the same time, it's like buyers beware, because there's also a chance, because they're just not built for the regular season. They're built to win championships. They're built for that gritty style of playoff. Their defense is unbelievable. But can they win enough in this new format with the unified standings? Can they win enough to get in? It's crazy that I'm saying, like, it sounds insane, but just walk it through with me. I think that they're a team that all they got to do is punch their ticket. Once they're at the dance, they'll be able to find the pretty girl and take her out on the dance floor. They just got to get that ticket first.
It helps my my Seals choke job bowl prediction if that.
Well, if you want to look at the top of the board, like I don't think, you know, the Seals, I think offensively, I think they're you can go blow for blow with any team, even the Buffalo Bandits, offensive firepower. The defense is significantly better over the last couple of years, very athletic. It's the question mark in between the pipes, and Chris Origlieri, I think I'm a little bit higher on him than you are, maybe not as high as Adam Levy is, but he has to prove it. Like, he has not proven it as a pro. He's a young lad, and he's going to be an amazing
20 is
goalie.
insane.
He's going to win. Like, he's going to be a elite caliber goalie. He's probably going to win a goaltender of the year at some point. He's probably going to win an NLL championship. But like doing it at 20, like we didn't even see Christian Del Bianco do it at that age. He was pretty young when he did it though. It's so early. And okay, they have a backup plan in Mike Poulin, and Mike Poulin is a phenomenal goalie, probably a Hall of Famer at some point. But he was, you know, sitting on his couch for a year. He's coming out of retirement. Is like, that's their insurance plan. So at the price that it's at, if they won, am I surprised? No, but at that price, I'm not betting it. If you wanted to look at some of those other ones, the Bandits, I know it's so hard to run it back, but I feel like
6-1.
Them getting that, you know, monkey off their back, I feel like the confidence is as high as it's ever been. And now that they've gone through that hardship of so many heartbreaking losses, Dane Smith knows now, I'm a champ. That was the last thing he needed, is an NLL championship. He's done everything. And he's gone out and done that. If Josh Byrne can stay healthy, I mean,
I was about to say,
he could be an MVP candidate, and they have multiple MVP candidates. Oh yeah, and then Matt Vince, the greatest goalie of all time.
He's okay. Yeah.
He's fine. So they're the team there, and then the Toronto Rock, man. You talked about, like, I think it was Adam who said, like, it's now or never for the Seals. I don't think it's quite there for the Rock, but it's like, you know, their championship, their defense last year was championship caliber. Nick
Schreiber's
Rose,
health,
that's concerning. But what does Jamie Dow do? He goes out, gets Chris Boucher, who's a guy that wakes up in the morning, he puts his pants on and puts balls in the back of the net. That's what he is. He's a pure goal scorer. You look on the other side, you've got Mark Matthews, one of the most elite playmakers that the game has ever seen. Big, huge, great vision. Can you imagine him throwing balls cross floor to Tom Schreiber? Like,
that's nice.
Yeah, back door. Oh, and then Dan Lintner, they picked up another nice depth piece. So Jamie Dowk is in win now mode. He has done everything. He's gone out and got the offense. He built the defense. Yes, Latrell Harris being out is very detrimental to this defense.
Agreed.
But you still got Brad Curry. You still got Mitch DeSnew. Like, those are two of the
and
top.
Rosie.
And Rosie, yeah, exactly. You got two of the top 5, 6 defenders in the NLL, in my personal opinion.
Ask the GMs and coaches, yeah.
Maybe we won't do that. Don't get me started on that. I wasn't as fired up as you, but I was pretty fired up about that. I think this Rock team can win a championship. You mentioned it. How healthy is Tom Schreiber? If Tom Schreiber is healthy down the road, this team can do it. But you saw what happened to them against Buffalo. Buffalo manhandled
that was scary.
Buffalo manhandled them. And that's why Jamie Dawick went out and got those pieces, because he after that game, he said, offensively, we're not as good as that team down that other hall. We didn't have enough firepower. He trusted his defense. He trusted his goaltending. The offense wasn't there. Now he's got out and got some of those guys. We'll have to see. Can the offense do it? I think you said you had them in the finals. My finals, like what I think, and I think this would be incredible for the league. Toronto, Buffalo finals would be amazing for this league.
Yeah.
It would be phenomenal. The most historic rivalry in this league. I think it would be so good. And I truly do believe that from top to bottom, these could be the two most sound teams in the National Lacrosse League. I know the folks watching on the West Coast are probably throwing tomatoes at their screen right now at me because I'm being an East Coast biased person, but I think that would be electric, man. I think it'd be electric.
I wouldn't mind seeing Rock and Seals because Banish just broke through. I wouldn't mind seeing Toronto versus San Diego for the sake of the West Coast people. It wouldn't be bad.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I think the Seals, it's the one question mark, and it's the most important position in lacrosse, goaltending. Look at the champions over the last few years. Look at it. Ward, Vince, like you go down. Evan Kirk with Saskatchewan even years previous. Like you need an elite goaltender. And if you don't have it, you're not going to win. Christian Del Bianco with Roughneck. You will not win a championship unless you have an elite goaltender in the pipes. Easy as that. Can O'Reilly do that? We'll have to wait and see.
I love that I can hear you even more tonight on the broadcast. It's going to be even better. Like you guys let me talk now. He's going to be unfiltered later on.
I saw Adam was drinking his tea and honey. I think I'm going to have to go do that because I'm already starting to get a little scratchy here because I'm so fired up about these games.
Don't you miss this tonight. Enjoy your call. Is it with Teddy again?
No, so it'll be actually with Pete Dalladay, who will be normally calls the games in Halifax. For TSN, it's normally John Abbott or Teddy. Teddy's out west, Vancouver, so stay up late.
That's right.
Watch that game. And then actually John Abbott's doing some work with TSN on the NHL side. So he's not here this week. Pete's popping in, but it'll be a great call. Ashley Docking will be on the sidelines. It's going to be an awesome game. 8:00 local start here on the Atlantic time. So the fans in Halifax might have a couple of extra sodas. They might be a little more energetic than they normally are, which is saying a lot because the Nest is electric.
And the common denominator in all those broadcast booths, Pat Gregar. Love it, man. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll have you on the Fridays whenever we can, or maybe another day. Who knows? This has been Daily Dive, right? And when we come back, myself and producer Joe's Picks. Thanks so much, Pat, for everything you do, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Don't go anywhere. Daily Dive will be right back.
BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120OZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Daily Dive is back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To be fair, if you thought that like an hour show was going to be like a theme. It probably is, because every Friday we are doing the whole Adam Levy segment along with the betting analyst, so that'll be fun. I thought Adam and Pat were spectacular, but you guys knew that. I don't have to say that. This is Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. We are live on 12 Ounce Sports, and there are two very small things I would like to mention. Unfortunately, the title of this is What Just Happened. That's the Thursday show on 12 Ounce Sports, but that's okay. We're going to be Thursday at 1 o'clock anyways, Eastern time. But the title, this is still Daily Dive, so don't worry about that. We're going to get that fixed next time. Also, the merch is still not updating on Teespring. It's okay. As soon as we know that it did update, we will let you guys know. But we have listed it as public. We're waiting on their end to do something about that. But the merch, this logo looks awesome on T-shirts. Believe me, I already ordered myself one. Cannot wait to showcase that on the show. It's Friday, December 1st, 2023. It's 2:06 p.m. You still watching? Come on, man. My son, producer Joe's picks. I hope you guys are ready. Boom. Boom. All right. Producer Joe, of course, we're both 0-0. We're going to keep track of this all season long, just straight up money lines. I've got the Rush, Better Dogs, Panther City, Nighthawks, and Wings. And that bastard's got the same. So Daddy's got the same picks as me. I didn't plan it that way. That's just how he felt. Calgary traveling to Rochester, that stat was huge. They struggle over there. And Pat was right. It is hard getting to a city and then having to take a bus ride to another city. It's like, God, where is Rochester? Well, apparently it's easier to find than Albany. I'm sorry, I need to stop taking shots at the Firewolves. But I think the Rush win tonight in Halifax. Sorry, Nest Birds out there. Even though Cody Jamieson decided to show up and play, whatever. Dinner Dogs do beat the Firewolves like 8-5. I'm rolling with that number in Las Vegas. I think Panther City handles Kurt Malosky's and the Vancouver Warriors. Kurt Malosky, the team Kurt Malosky, you get it. I've got Rochester to hold off Calgary, and I think the Philadelphia Wings will beat up on Jeff Teton, Spider-Man, and the Riptide. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been a long show. I'm starving. It is lunchtime officially. This has been, once again, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. As I mentioned before, I would not mind if it was the first. I mean, if it was the first and not the only, because I would love to see the space grow. But for now, we out here, we doing this thing. For everyone that could stay along and watch the show, you're the bread, you're the butter, you are the merchandise to my Daily Dive logo, which I swear to God is going to be up soon. For everyone behind the scenes getting a street cred, thanks a lot for that. For all the great guests like Pat and Adam and everybody else, you guys are incredible. For producer Joe at Daily Dive Joe, I am your host, Michael Carmel, saying enjoy the NLL season. Way back Monday to break it all down. Same time, same place, 12 Ounce Sports. Adios.
Thanks for watching Daily Dive. See you next time.